Hello, everyone, and welcome to Diaspora Careers and Investments. My name is Shadrach, and in this video, I'll be sharing with you some of the things I've been doing to keep sane in all the madness going on, especially in the stock market or in the world of investments. Stay tuned. So I recently visited my, Vanguard portfolio, which is, the platform that I use to invest in the stock market. If you've not seen my video on how to invest in the stock market using Vanguard platform, do check it out. I'll put it in the comment section below. But when I went into my Vanguard platform, I saw that most of my investments were in red, seriously bleeding. And it was very tempting to sell up and just cut my losses and move on. But then I remember that, of course, we invest in the stock market for the long term. And so, some fluctuations shouldn't cause you to sell up. But this is easier said than done because if you've read The Psychology of Money, you would know that investing or the act of, keeping or managing money, it's about 80% psychology and just about 20%, common sense or rational. So I had to make some deliberate steps to help me be able to steer the storm in these times, so that I don't sell cheap and lose out, but also manage how things are going. So in this video, I'll really be sharing with you some thoughts regarding how you can manage your investment or how you can resist the temptation of selling up short in this ongoing possible recession or ongoing crisis that we face. The first thing I did when I went into my Vanguard portfolio was to after realizing that my portfolio was in the negative, was to really pause and reflect on why I'm actually investing. I was very sure that I'm investing for the long term. I am not timing the market that when the stocks are high I'll sell and then move on or something. That's not why I'm investing in the stock market. I'm investing for the long term. Hopefully that the prices of the stocks would rise and I'll make the long-term gain. That is why I'm investing in. And so in that reflection, I realized that these fluctuations are normal and they do happen. There are speculations of a possible recession. But what does that even mean? Would a recession mean a total wipeout of all my investments? Is that really the case? What does the history tell us? Whenever there's been a recession, do people lose up to 50% of their investments? And what even happens after that recession? Does the stock market recover? We know from history that that is often the case. And so there is no need to panic and then, sell up short and then move on, because that way you would have actually lost rather than, gaining something. And I think that is really important to help people reflect on why are you investing in the market to begin with. And in my case, I have a pretty diversified portfolio. I invest in the S&P 500 among other things, and that is a pretty diversified portfolio. It includes oil companies, it includes technology companies, pharmaceuticals, and all of that. And so that if the pharmaceutical company is not doing well, the oil company may be doing well, and so stocks are not really going to go to zero. Of course, if you are invested in something more riskier, like I don't know, like some cryptocurrency or something which is intangible, then you may have a genuine reason to be concerned or want to sell. But I think that is a very primary question you ought to ask yourself. What was your motivation for investing to begin with? Are you in for the long term or the short term gains? If that is the case, then you may want to consider your strategy. In my case, I am in for the long term, and so the short term losses really don't matter much to me. Again, because my portfolio is diversified, I know that it will definitely not go to zero, because there will be some sectors which will be doing well, and of course others which will not be doing so well. So there will not be any point in time T where my investment will be zero. In fact, there are very few times in history that this has actually happened. Somewhere, I think in the was it during the World War, that local stocks in Germany and Japan, went to zero because areas were bombed out and all of that. But apart from these times, even in those times, the American stock market was doing pretty well. And in my case, I invest in S&P 500 again, which is, in America, based in America, as well as, some FTSE stocks, which is based in Europe, as well as some global stocks. So I know for sure that unless the whole world is coming to an end, I would have something. And certainly we know from history that the stock market recovers and it does well in the long term. So we are in for the long run. It is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just take a chill pill and move on. Because your strength will be in your ability to keep calm in these troubling times. Again, you ought to consider if you are selling up your investments and then taking whatever that is remained of it, what are you really going to do with that money? Is it that you've invested all your savings in the stock market, or you've put your children's school fees there, or what would you be doing with that money really? Unless, of course, you've got some emergency for which you need that money, you may realize that you really don't need that money sitting in your account. You may be better off having it sitting in the stock market and see how it will perform in the long term. Again, it also depends on how much you've really invested in. Are you actually, just investing all your savings there, or you also have got an emergency fund? An emergency fund is about up to 3 to 6 months of your essential spending, so that should something happen at work or something, you would have something to live on. So unless you are facing an extreme case whereby, you really, hard up and so need every penny, then, perhaps my advice would be or my suggestion would be for you to, keep your investments, secure and just observe how things would go. If you do not have this emergency fund, then you may want to, in the next few months, maybe pause investing in the stock market and then build the emergency fund so that in case anything happens, you'd have, something to rest on. But other than that, remember also that the idea of investing is to actually invest what you don't mind losing. And that is fundamental for this reason, because the fluctuations would happen and you may be getting palpitations, like an ECG, you check, and the QSR, all those peaks. That's how your heart to be racing. If you invest everything, if you are risking everything, I tend to invest about 10% of my income in the stock market. And it's one which, of course, it means something to me, but I really don't mind losing it should it come to that, because as a Christian I pay my tithe, which is 10% of my income, to God, and then I pay myself also 10% as investment for the long term, with the hope that posterity would reward me accordingly, so that if I've paid my tithe, I'm not the Bible promises us that we'll receive it in many folds. But if that is not the case, when I give my tithe, I don't count that I've given tithe of 1,000 or 2,000, and so I'm expecting this in return. No. Likewise, when I invest in the stock market, I don't think about it. I think it's money gone. And so I focus on the 80% left of my salary, which I use for my, regular expenses and some savings if possible. So that is the idea for which I invest or, save whatever that I can. And so I don't mind losing it. And so with that mindset also, I am guarded, I'm shielded against all these fluctuations, because as far as I'm concerned, that is money which is gone. So that if in 10 years, in 20 years, it turns into something huge, then I would have, I'll do another video to tell you the party I'm having. But until then, don't worry about how, the stocks are falling at the moment. They will certainly, pick up again if you are investing in the right stuff, something tangible, I would like to think. The third point I would like to raise is stop looking at your portfolio. And that is one of the reasons why I actually like investing in on the Vanguard platform. Because for those who invest on the Vanguard platform, apart from the low cost that they have, well, this is not a paid, paid video anyway, but I can recommend them because their costs are low, but also they deliberately do not have an app. Can you imagine? They don't have an app and they don't send notifications about stocks dropping or stocks rising. No. So you invest and you forget about it. And whenever you want to go back to your portfolio, you have to go to, your browser, whether, Mozilla or, Chrome or Firefox or whatever, and then log in your details and put in your password and all of that to see it. It's a bit of a process, with the hope that you don't go in to check all the time, because it is when you are checking all the time that, you may feel anxious that, oh, yesterday it was, 1,000 and today is 200 today, and that kind of feeling. So don't check your portfolio if you can. In fact, I have actually set a direct debit from my current account to the investment account so that I've automated the process of investing so that I don't have to think about it whether to invest or not. I don't decide whether to pay my tithe or not. Likewise, I don't decide whether to invest or not. It is automated. If anything, it is the 80% that is left that I decide what to do with it and what not to do with it. And sometimes it's hard, to save, but I've tried to be consistent in all of that. In the future, hopefully I'll be able to share my portfolio, my Vanguard portfolio, as well as, other savings portfolios to see how it's doing and all of that. But yeah, that's what I've done, to reduce, the thinking process, because left to me alone. In fact, it is that, inertia, overcoming that click inertia that, sometimes inhibits many people from, prohibits others from investing in the first place. So if you're able to, automate that process, it makes it a lot easier, I'd like to think. The fourth point also is that I have, tuned out a lot on the news, because it's the news that make me panic, that makes me anxious, and sometimes I feel it's even affecting my faith. It makes me too anxious than I would want to. So I've tuned out on the news. I mean, who cares? The stock market is crashing, and so what? What is happening? I really don't care. I mean, for 10 years, so until then, I really couldn't care what is happening. Because there was a time I didn't even know the stock market existed anyway, and I was fine. So if it's now crashing, what do I care about it? And I think tuning out of this news is helping me, keep sane a bit. But of course, it's hard not to, hear the conversations going on and all of that, because you see the worry all around you, and you can see the cost of things rising all around you. So what I've done is actually to spend a lot more time, reading about, money, So in the last few weeks, I've read, The Richest Man in Babylon. I've read, The Psychology of Money. I've read other books by Napoleon Hill, and it helps me to, improve my knowledge about managing money and, all of these. And I really feel that I'm learning a lot more from there than I would have gained from the news anyway, because all the news does is, negativity, no hope or anything. And that really is the point of this video, to inspire some hope that, things will get better. So keep calm. It will get better. Be anxious for nothing. It will get better. The fifth point, which I should have raised earlier, is the idea of dollar cost averaging or pound cost averaging, or whatever currency you want to call it. The idea that, you invest regardless of the price of the stock. And I'll illustrate with an example here. Assuming the stocks normally cost, say, £50, and you've been buying that at £50. Sometimes it goes to £55. You buy a couple of stocks, you keep investing and all of that. And now they say that the stock market is crashing, is going down. We're in a bear market. We are in a cat market, whatever market we are in. What do you have to lose? If now the stocks are selling for £30, it's actually a good time to perhaps buy a couple more, because previously you were buying it for 50. And if now it's selling for 30, you can actually, with your £50, buy nearly 2. So it means that you can buy more. And in the long term, when it rises, you would have gained more. And I think that leads into my final point for those who are still, hesitant to invest in the stock market. There is no great time to invest than now. Because can you imagine that, just imagine that, say, S&P 500 normally costs, $60 per stock. And now the market is crashing, and so it's costing only £40 or $40 or $30. Now is a great time to buy because it's cheap. And when it comes to the normal price, you would have gained. So, I don't know, another example to illustrate. You've always wanted to, say, buy television. Why? I don't know why I thought of television. But if you've always wanted to own a television, and for some reason the price of televisions have gone down, that is the time to buy. This is the time to buy. If the stock market is going down, now is the time for newbies to buy. So I really encourage you to check out my video on how to invest in the stock market using the Vanguard platform. Do check it out and do invest something, put something you don't mind losing. I use 10% of my, my savings, which I don't, of my income, which I don't mind losing. It's tied to Shadrach or something like that. So yeah, um, do that and be wise about it. Don't be greedy about it, and tune out a bit on the news. The idea of dollar cost averaging would help you in the long term. And yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. Whether you are seeing negative, red, your portfolio is bleeding, or whether you are new to the market, it will get better in the long term. And let's keep hope alive. I hope you found this video helpful, and do let me know in the comment section what you've invested in and how you are keeping sane with all that is going on. See you in my next video. Thank you.